Yeah. Server browser. Yeah. So my opinions on server browser, right? What happened to it? Why was it removed? Alright, all jokes aside, but it's not really a joke. We really do need server browser back, right? But since the server browser is so advocated to be brung back, do we need a battle log or should we have just a battle log implemented into the game, you know? Like to see like a full on everything like how it is in the game. I think my second reasoning is the best bet as I heard some stories about battle log being a disaster of a fest. So the server browser, right? This is one thing about the server browser that's very difficult to announce. So for server browsing, right, it could make more money for, the company, since everybody had to buy a server to be able to, maintain the actual server. Since I honestly don't know if they had official servers back in the day that had active admins or anything that could ban players, for doing retarded, not retarded, stupid stuff and stuff that is actually pretty bad for the atmosphere of the gaming and getting on people's nerves and messing up their stats and stuff. So other than that, the server browser is something that we need, but it's something that we need to think about, having people join your server every single time because it can happen to anybody, you know. Anybody can join another person's lobby for some exact reason to try to be weird or something like that. And that those are some type of hazard effects of, understanding that we need to dissolve those. We need to dissolve those hazards. Having weird people chase you and stuff like that. But it is good for, the the friendly, things to do, but doing it every single, minute of your day is something that needs to be called help for. But other than that, is there for me, there are like certain difficulties for a server browser if we don't have people who be active admins in the server browser, whether it's a dev from, DICE or whether it's just a AI implemented admin, that can detect certain things. Because honestly, I don't know if official servers had those certain effects in the game. So I think they did, obviously. I think they did. Yeah, I think they did. I just don't really pay attention to what's going on, in those effects because I don't really type, stuff that doesn't need to be typed. I only type, good things, good vibes for good vibe people. But the server browser, right? In these, it's also a form of an art form because not many games do it nowadays, and it's really something that needs to be brought back because it's honestly Battlefield's thing that they had on their own, right? They implemented server browsing by themselves. They did it by themselves. They probably had some other effect, whatever, but they made it popular. They made it popular. Right now, I can't think off the top of my head any game that had a server browser that was as good as Battlefield. So, and yes, the server browser can be a little more beautiful and implemented. BF5 was kind of dry looking, and all of that ish and stuff like that. If people want the beauty up, they server browsing, settings and stuff like that. But enough of the jokes. The server browser needs to be implemented into the game or a battle log that works, because the battle log is a cool effect in the game, as that was also another thing that other games didn't do. And I think the reason why it failed at the past time because it was so big. It was so broad, it was so different for a game to have, something that can like just a whole nother environment that can, suit the atmosphere of the game. Like you could chat, message people in a different it's basically just like a social media website for Battlefield. So it's something that needs to be thought about, and I think, and I'm with the majority of people that the server browser needs to be implemented, but I think it needs to be implemented with caution because it can be a bad thing to implement something that isn't really thought about, because there can be a lot of cheaters to have to detect, through server browsing with anti-cheat. Anti-cheat is good, but a lot of people be buying out of their own pockets for cheats and stuff to be undetectable and all that goofy stuff right there. And it can be hard to find people in a bunch of servers, that has 64 players and counting in different um, continents. So I think that right now Battlefield needs to proceed with caution with the server browser. And I think that they can do it very good because, they a big company. They've been doing this for, who knows how long, 20 years, more than 20 years. I don't know off the top of my head right now, but they've been doing a lot. They've been doing a lot, and I think that server browser can fix a lot of the Battlefield atmosphere, instead of like having skill-based matchmaking type, ish and going against tryhards every single time. I think it should be like, a bit of a um equal scale, like we should have like, at least if we're talking in KD terms, the competitiveness, right? So we're talking about three KDs and up. You can have like 4 or 5 KDs on a certain team, 32v32 team, and five on each side, and then the rest can be, ass, trash, whatever, whoever knows, they might be good, for certain extents, but it just need to have like an equal balance to the game so it doesn't really necessarily have to be, a blowout every single match for one game and a entirely bad loss for another game and, stuff like that. Like, I really do love the close endings of games, like a 200 v2 a 200 versus a 195 win or something like that. I really do love the close games because it makes you, on the edge of your seat and actually feel like you did something accomplished. you know you accomplish something, because I feel like I do accomplish something when I'm like going against a team that's, pretty decent. Be like, oh, okay, they actually putting some work on our team. We have to help the team out a little bit. And I think that that kind of gets people on the edge of their seat too, instead of like, you know just moving around doing nothing, not resting or nothing, because it seems like they don't have a goal to do instead of like getting blown out or getting their ass whooped. So I think close games and, good matchmaking terms can be the best benefit of Battlefield, the next Battlefield, whatever it might be called. The next Battlefield should come with some good heat. I think it will come with some good heat. It's just it's just the server browser. The server browser, it needs to be looked on, and if they're including Portal in the server browser, they might as well just, put the Portal inside of, the game on the base game instead of just having, it separate because they having a battle. They're having, I heard that they're having a, I don't know if it's true or not. It's not. It's not really my responsibility to know because I honestly don't. I don't really care about the leagues. I want it to be, you know, upfront and personal when I receive the full game, but a battle, a damn war zone type thing, right? So a portal inside the war zone, right, is much better in my effects, instead of like because we can have the best of both worlds. We can have the portal weapons and the 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 maps and the guns we couldn't have in the base game and have them in a war zone, because it wouldn't matter. People just want to use different weapons, see the different environments of the map, and just move around and do their business. And for at least for the base game, they can add like a few more portal weapons, like more portal weapons, not probably not more than the war zone, but like a comfortable amount because we had a lot of different weapons that was in the game, so it can be a comfortable amount that's implemented into the base game. And then for the war zone, I think they should add like however many guns they want because it's going to be a big world and it's going to be a big thing for the community and for the people who play Battlefield, for the new people, for the casuals, competitive, and pros. So I think it's a good thing. I really do think it's a good thing to add a server browser for the base game, remove the portal, and just add the portal things to the war zone. It might be hard. It might be hard for the people who work there because it's a lot of different opinions and suggestions and ideas that you know everybody's throwing at Battlefield. So who knows what will be in the final game. But for right now, I think that Portal doesn't really matter right now anymore because we're already going back to our roots as seen what people talk about and the certain leaks anyway. So I don't really think we need another Portal when we already back again to the modern era, you know? Just the war zone, if it's going to be different cities and stuff, and I'm gonna say it once more to that, adding the different weapons, like the weapons from 2042, whatever, Bad Company, you know, those old ass games back in the day, 2021 42 or whatever that game was called, and all that ish, they can add those games. They can add those guns too to the Warzone era. They don't necessarily have to ruin the base game and add them in it. Just I just think it should be a good variety of a platform that different people want to play on. So that's that's my thinking on the server browser that it doesn't really need to be that deep about wanting to have, something different for a base game inside of a base game, you know, like putting, certain locked weapons that should have been in the base game and locking them behind something that can't really benefit the base game, but it can, but it was like utilized in the wrong way. And it was actually a good idea though. But other than that, the server browser should be implemented and it should be proceeded with caution. We don't want the server browsers to break on the first day. We don't want no modders like causing havoc on the servers, nothing. Cause hey, I'm scared if that stuff happens, bro. I'm gonna be sitting in my room crying. But low key, man, we need that server browser, man. Seriously, I wholehearted, I wholeheartedly believe that we'll get something worthwhile. I really do, and that's my thoughts about it. And I hope other people have similar thoughts or even different thoughts, so I can interpret like why do people want something, well, want no server browser anyway, and want like a casual matchmaking, you know, piece of, searching. Because one more thing I'll add is that with server browsing, right? you can look and see how many people is is in the game instead of going into a dead game on accident, because sometimes that can happen even if all games are full. Because like I don't know what it is, but you can go into a game when there's like about 4,000 people playing and the game is just full of bots and dead people. So I think a server browser is the best bet. You don't really want to have matchmaking bad because it happened at 2042. It happened to start, right? I think I'm not really wrong about that. I think the servers really died on the first day and nobody could get in the game or the game was shut down for a little bit or whatnot about that. So server browser is a good thing. You just need to protect it to a certain level because y'all Battlefield, y'all made art. Y'all really made art. Seriously. Y'all made things that other games did not think about. And you influence a lot of people, Battlefield, Dice. And it's not right to give up y'all y'all image on what y'all influenced. Like keep y'all image. That's what I think. Just keep the image. Just do it way better than what y'all did last time. That's what I think. Is it's probably hard at the current times in 2025, but we going into this new era because we in the middle right now. So have a good we gonna have a good run. That's what I think. We just gonna have a good run. We just need to see when the game comes out. But I really do believe that we need that server browser. So that's my thoughts on the server browser and if we need it or not. And we do. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and like and subscribe and I'll come with some more videos and thoughts about the battlefield and even some, whatever people want anyway. So that's me right now. See you guys later.